Welcome back to the Evan Tenney YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be doing a project showcase. I'm going to run around the house and try to bring all my projects over to here because this is kind of my best lighting area, but to show off all the different projects I have laying around the house yet, and I'll even throw in some that maybe I don't have laying around anymore, but I still have pictures of, so hopefully you look forward to that. Since my first video, wasn't quite happy with the audio quality. Probably because I was just using my phone. So I noticed that quite a few people use like Bluetooth microphones, and that seems to work pretty well. So figured I'd give a shot at building one. So this is my audio quality now. This is what the audio quality used to sound like. And so hopefully you can tell from the last shot that this is a lot better than what it used to be. So yeah, let me know if there's anything in the video that you want to know more about. I'm just going to be doing a quick little overview of them, so if you want me to go in deeper, leave a comment in the description, and I can do a later video going more in depth on them. But let's take a look at this guy. Alright, so the earbuds did not like when I was taking both of them out at the same time, so it really distorted the audio, but I'm gonna voice over this segment, so bear with me. This was my first design where I essentially was gonna create like a artificial ear hole that you could plug the earpiece into, and then it would have a little saddle top on it that would hold it in, but I made the hole too small, and I feel like the saddle was a little bit too finicky to keep the earbud secure and from slipping out, so I didn't want these to just fall out and slip. There, I was finding out that my ear hole was too small, or artificial ear hole. Here's the new design with the larger saddle strap thingy, and then the slightly larger hole in the bottom. It's made out of TPU, so it's flexible and compliant and can flex around the earbud. So this one, when I insert it, it slides in a lot better to the hole, and then the saddle secures it pretty well. I just have to make sure it doesn't cover the two mics. So this is the earbud speaker thing in its glory. It just has friction fit for the alligator clip to keep it attached. Nothing fancy there. So yeah, that's the wireless mic. But yeah, this should hopefully pick me up better, louder, less background noises. So first project that I did yesterday. Let me go grab another one. This is the Deer Rex. Whenever you have a 3D printer, you always think it's going to be big enough, but then I feel like you find that one print that maxes it out, and this was one of the prints that I did where I wanted to print it as big as I could. So I maxed out the size of a horn that I could, or antler that I could fit on my print bed, and then printed this Deer Rex mount because I thought it was cool and wanted it to hang up in my apartment. And then I did the back on my CNC router. It's just probably like a pine board or something like that that I routed out, and then did the nice little like router table bits to get that edge on it, and then did a little plaque in the like silk gold PLA that makes it shimmer a little bit. Just a fun little project that I did. This one kind of cheating, I feel like, just because I didn't design it all, but still cool, and I figured I'd show it off. Alright, next one, Wolverine Claws. These I made in college as well. They are metal. use a plasma cutter. I've cut the tops of bottles off, not intentionally. I was trying to just open, like pop the top off of it, and then it ended up cutting the top off. These were files, I think, from a Instructables, meant for laser engraving. So they have some sharp backs, which isn't ideal because it just kind of digs into your hand. So I've got some heat shrink there. But yeah, TIG welded with some leather wrap on there. I feel like they're fun to play with. Let me go grab the next project. This one, I have a CNC routed little knife. It's out of aluminum, and then I did some inserts from 3D printer filament. So I was messing around with trying to melt down recycled parts. Better lighting on that gives it a cool marbly type texture on each side, or pattern, coloration, not necessarily texture. It's aluminum, it's not going to hold an edge. I actually have a pretty blunt edge on this. I just feel like it's fun to play around with. But this is just something I wanted to try doing one day. So yeah, little aluminum knife that was done on my CNC router. Next one, I call these ET buds. Before I got the actual like store-bought Bluetooth earbuds, I attempted to make my own. So I didn't fully design the like Bluetooth circuitry or anything like that. I think there was a car dealership in my college town that had these flyers. You know, step back so you're not just staring at my face. Had these flyers that they would send in the mail and be like, oh, if you come in, you'll get these like free knockoff AirPods. And then they'd have to give you like a little spiel. But they knew that 3 college kids weren't going to be buying a brand new car, so they just gave us like a 5-minute spiel and then gave us these knockoff earbuds at probably $10, if that. Terrible feel in your ear. They really hurt. They were big, and so I wanted to try making my own comfortable earbud. So what I did was one of my phones came with AKG wired earbuds, and I felt like the sound from them was way better than what the knockoff AirPods were, and they also are a lot more comfortable. So I took the speaker off from the AirPod circuit, soldered it to the speaker in the wired earbuds, tested to see if it worked. It did. It sounded way better. So then I went down the rabbit hole of trying to design my own little earbud enclosure that would fit the battery, and I tried attempting to make charging pins too in a case. The AirPods case, knockoff AirPods case, had a charging case in it, so I tried to use as much of that as possible. And then there was also a button somewhere on the earbuds, the AirPods, that would play, pause, and control it like that. So the outside little badge is actually the button for these, and then little charging case. Of course, you gotta have that magnet to get the satisfying close. And so yeah, you got your earbuds. They worked all right. They just never really charged all that well because I'm just using some bent terminals, so you kind of need to put some pressure on here and keep pressure on the stems to get it to charge. So that was my intent up here, was to have that pressed down, but plus my little washer. but the magnet to close the lid was never strong enough to actually apply pressure to it. So I use these a little bit, but it was more just a fun project. All done with an FDM printer. Probably could have gotten it quite a bit smaller and a lot better to the feel if it was a resin printer. I just don't have that in my arsenal, maybe yet. So yeah, I'll grab the next project then. I'll start with this one. So this is a battery for my e-bike that I built. So got some recycled cells from a medical device, and then got my BMS. It's one of those Chinese brands, but it has Bluetooth, so I can pair it to my phone and see what each charge level of each bank is. Each group of 3 cells are all soldered together in parallel, and then each grouping of 3 banks is then in series, so it's a 13S 3P configuration. I have one of these big battery cutoff switches, and then a little voltage screen, so when I turn the battery on, it should, well, maybe it's not charged. I was right, this was just not charged fully. And then I'm just using your standard power cable socket from like a computer or power brick. I'm using 2 of those. I think they're rated for 15 amps each, so I'm using 2 so that I can pull 30 amps from it. And then I can bring you up to the e-bike to show you that. Up here, I don't feel like trying to get it down. I have my e-bike. The motor, controller, screen was all a DIY kit, so that all came as one, and then I just mainly built the battery for the system and the different mounts for this. So I have an aluminum mount that I built for the battery that holds it, and then it also holds the controller on the back side of that bottom beam. And then I don't know if it actually needs air cooling, but you get a lot of airflow across the controller to cool it. I also did create a 3D printed converter so that I can convert the PC plugs or like power supply plugs to an XT90 so that I can run it off of my backpack battery that I built for the GoBoard. This is the electric bike. Not sure how project related I would consider these. These are just a boost and buck converter. I hooked them up to a 24 volt power supply, and then I used the boost converter to charge all my batteries that are above 24 volts. So my e-bike battery, the GoBoard battery, those are 48 volts. So I can set my voltage and current, and then have this do the constant current charging, and then once it hits the set voltage, then it switches over to constant voltage mode for charging. And then same concept for this one, buck converter, so anything lower than 24 volts I can fine tune the voltage, the current. This one has a little bit nicer screen for the readout on things. But yeah, I use these two quite a lot, so just 3D printed housings and put some XT90 connectors on them so that they're easier to use. I'm trying to create like a system where I can have a standard set of cables for all of the things that I use. Here's a project from high school that I did. Had a disk drive on it. I didn't have a need for a disk drive, but what I found I always had was flash drives, and so I thought it would be cool if I could make a drawer that I keep all my flash drives, SD cards in. with my computer. And so that just slides in and looks just like a normal CD drive. That's definitely one thing I miss on my newer laptops, is having a CD drive, because I loved having my USBs and flash drives and SD cards with my computer. Even if you wanted to throw like a dongle in there, very convenient. So one of my most useful projects, I feel like, for quite a while. How many of you have these Milwaukee bit sets? I mean, they're nice, except that some of these bits, they're really in there and they don't want to come out. You need like rock climber finger strength to get them out, and gotta grab pliers every now and then, but we shouldn't be doing that. Let's do a little upgrade here. Oh, much better. Look at that. They even swivel so that if you've got bigger fingers, that you can pivot to the side so you can put your fingers in and grab the right bit that you need. This is my rolling workbench tool station. So another one of my college builds. I have been accumulating a lot of miscellaneous parts for projects and different fasteners, and so I wanted a way to organize it. So I borrowed the idea from my robotics team in high school. We had a similar storage system, so I got all these little Stanley bins that I can store my different parts in. And then I built a frame out of this extruded aluminum, and then I've got some aluminum angle brackets right here that act as the rails for the bins. I actually got a little bit too small of aluminum angle, so I had to 3D print little spacers so that the aluminum could actually interface with enough of the bottom of all my bins. But I've got it on wheels so I can move it around how I need to. The tabletop is from one of those old steel desks that you find on Marketplace that people are normally trying to get rid of for free. So that's where I got my tabletop. And then on the sides, I just have some storage or pegboard, so I can store tools that don't fit in my toolbox. And then back here I've got some storage for more extrusion behind the bins and other long stock. So I have the same thing over here on the other side, just to put my tools on the pegboard. I've got my toolboxes up top here, and then I've got 3D printed mounts for batteries, tools up top, battery chargers. Got an LED strip right here that I slotted into the aluminum T-slot. I just have that hooked up to a Wi-Fi plug so that I can turn it on and off easily. For those of you who haven't seen my first video, I encourage you to check it out, but this is my CNC router. It was a DIY project that somebody had started that never finished. So I actually drove 16 hours to Michigan to pick it up with my friend. And it was partially assembled, but then I had to do the last like 80% to get everything wired up and finished mechanically to have this run. And this table or cart actually predates my workbench that I have over there. So this is where the first cart design came from. It's got the 80-20. I had some plasma cut metal gusset plates to keep everything rigid so that this isn't going anywhere. I was bringing this back and forth from my home and my dorm and apartment. There was no, I checked the rules. There were no rules about having a CNC router in your dorm. So this did live in my dorm for half a semester until I moved into my apartment, where then this followed me. So I have it on wheels so that it's mobile. Usually I have a helper lift this off with me, and then the cart can come apart a little bit. I'm using an Xbox controller to control the different axes and get it into position where I need it. And then I have a handy work table so that if I'm working on something, I can place what I'm working on here and then slide it out of the way. And then desk drawer, this again, one of those free metal desks that people on Marketplace have for like $10, maybe free. I don't remember if I actually paid for this or not, but I feel like it's a good way to get nice work tabletops. And then I repurposed the drawer that was in there to hold all my different tools for the CNC router and the keyboard for interfacing with the computer that I have. All right, down here I have a homemade dust cyclone. So I just CNC routed out a piece of wood for the inner core part, and then 3D printed some fittings that go on the bucket. So I have a shop vac here. It's actually Bluetooth or wireless. I don't think it's Bluetooth, wireless. So it's got this remote, so I can just turn it on and off. I don't have it plugged in right now, but turn it on and off from the remote, so I don't have to actually come down here and flip a switch. Every now and then, it for some reason will turn itself on. I don't know if it's some random signal that it catches, but it always happens in the middle of the night, which scares the living crap out of you. So I try to keep my whole cart unplugged from the wall unless I'm actually using it. I got the computer here that runs the controller board that runs the different stepper motors. Then over here I have my air compressor that runs, or that I can connect up to the air system that I have that points at the spindle and end mill. I do have a custom mistless oiling system up here. I made my own fog buster type deal. So I've got an oil reservoir over there that then pipes air and oil over to here, and then I got a little custom bent tubing that I can kind of aim as I need to at my end mill. And then I've got my boot here that I designed to be as transparent as possible, because I like to see if something is messing up or not. That just magnetically attaches to my vacuum tube, and then I've got a cutout here so that the oil tube, when it's lined up, can go right through it. And so there we go. Hard to move it with one hand. Easier to do it when it was actually, if it's actually powered on. So I have this so that there's space for the whole spindle and oiling / air tube to poke through the boot, so that I can cut almost as deep as what the boot allows me to. So yeah, that's the CNC router. I'm just about done editing this video, and I kind of underestimated the number of projects that I have. So I'm going to actually split this up into a 3-part series. So stay tuned for the other 2 parts of the series, but hopefully you enjoyed the projects that I showed so far, and let me know which one was your favorite. Thanks for watching.